Hello everyone, thank you so much for choosing HostBooks. We are here with a tutorial on how to file TDS returns with HostBooks in just 5 minutes. So let's get started. First of all, you'll have to visit our website, that is www.hostbooks.com. Now click on the free trial section to create your HostBooks account. Now start filling in your details, your first name, then enter your last name. Then we have the email address, say abc@gmail.com. Then you need to set a password and the strength of the password will be displayed on the right. Then confirm your password by retyping it. Click on the checkbox to accept the terms and conditions, then register now. An email will be sent to your inbox and you'll have to verify it. Verify the email as shown on the screen. So now we have the HostBooks customer portal on the screen, and here we have all the 5 products, that is TDS, then we have GST, accounting, payroll and tax. So let's click on TDS. First step is to create a new deductor, and there are 2 options available, by entering data manually and through .tds file. So let's go with the first option. Enter the name of the deductor. Then enter the tax collection and deduction account number, or the TAN. Click on create deductor. So this is the main dashboard. Here we have TDS returns, then we have challans, deductees, TDS certificates. We also have a shortcut panel on the left. You can click on deductors list to view the deductor you just created. So now let's complete the deductor's profile. For that you will have to click on view deductors details. Then click on edit. Then enter the Traces username, that is the name by which you have been registered on Traces. Then enter the permanent account number. The next field is the branch or division. If you don't have a branch or division, you can simply type NA. Then select the type of deductor. Then we have the deductor's address. Here first enter your flat number. Then name of the premises or building. Then we have the street, road or lane. Then we have the area or location, the city or town. You can select the deductor state from the drop down menu. Then you need to enter the PIN code. Then you may enter the TDS assessment range code, but that is not mandatory. And then the next field is the GSTN. Then we have the contact details, email address first, then an alternate email if available. Then we have the STD code, the telephone number. Now we have the responsible person's details. First the job designation, then name. Then we have the permanent account number, a mandatory field of course. Then we have the flat number, name of the premises or building, then the street, lane or road, area or locality. Then we have the city or town. As we did in the previous step, you can select the state from the drop down menu. Then enter the PIN code, the email address, then enter the mobile number. Then we have the STD code if available. Now click on save and all your details will be saved successfully. Now let's go back to the main dashboard. Click on TDS returns. Then click on create new return. Select the form type, the financial year and the quarter. Then click on create TDS return. So here we have the number of deductions, challans and deductees. Click on import from Excel. Then click on download to download the tax deductions annexure 1. So now we have the annexure 1 on the screen, and this is the complete format of the template. It has all the required fields that need to be filled in. Now let's select a file from the system that has all the details of the deductees. You can select the data that has to be copied. You can select the entire data as shown on the screen. Now copy the data and paste it in the downloaded template. Then you can save the file in your system and you can give it a name, say import deductions. Then click on save. So the file has been saved successfully in your system. Now let's go back to the next step. Click on choose a file. To select the file that has to be uploaded, click on open and then click on upload. So the file has been successfully uploaded. View imported details. So here the number of deductions and challans have been updated successfully, and it also has been done on the dashboard. So we can see the number of challans and deductees. Let's click on TDS Returns again. So here we have the details. Click on Work on Return. So here are the number of deductions. The next step is Generate File Validation Utility. So there are no errors. Click on Download CSI and Generate FVU file. Then click on Download FVU file. So the file is being downloaded. Now let's open the file. And here you have the form 27A on the screen. So this is the complete form. This was the process of filing TDS returns quickly. Hope this would help you save a lot of time. Thank you so much for watching.